what he did in Houston. When he came to California, he worked in a parking garage situation in downtown LA, and in the parking garage at that point they did minor automobile repair work.
Oh.
And so he did minor automobile repair work and worked in the parking garage.
Parking cars?
Parking cars, etc. And he stayed there he left there in 1950 or 51, and so he would have been there from about 1936 to 1951. And it was interesting story about the garage. There was a white who owned the garage. He wasn't from the United States, he was from some foreign country. And he sold the garage and went into some sort of arrangement to buy a company called Meyer Brewing Company.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Meyer
No.
Brewing Company. Meyer Brewing Company made a brew that was called Brew 102. When he sold the garage and bought Meyer Brewing Company, he persuaded my father to become a beer salesman. Now my father had never done any public relations kind of thing, never a salesman. The only thing he knew how to do, park cars, work on cars somewhat, and that was it. But he was finally persuaded to do that. And so he became a beer salesman for Brew 102. And he was a beer salesman for them until he retired. And after he retired, the fellow who was really instrumental in owning the beer company sold the beer company. And he retired. And then in the sale of the brewery, they had a building in downtown Los Angeles, right off Alameda. I think it was near First or somewhere in that industrial area there. Mm-hmm. And in the process of selling his corporation and the beer company, there were a lot of beer equipment that was still stored at the building that they owned. And he needed somebody to handle, in the sense of to be present on the site so that the new company could come in and get whatever information they needed, and someone that he trusted with that. And so he made an arrangement with my father. They had a parking lot on the top of the brewery.
Mm-hmm.
He gave my father permission to run the parking lot. No payment required, no rent, lease. Everything he got from the parking lot was his money. And the downside was he had to be there to let them in to get the equipment that they needed out of the downstairs. And so my father, when he was retired, then started running his own parking lot, and he ran that for maybe 10, 15 years.